بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد وبعد. Inshallah, tonight we're going to be talking about Imam Muslim. And Imam Muslim, he was a scholar that was in Nisabur, which is near present-day Iran, right, northern Iran. And he compiled his Sahih, which is, according to the majority of scholars of the Sunnah wal-Jama'ah, after the Quran, obviously after Sahih al-Bukhari, then Sahih Muslim is the most authentic book on earth, right? This is the people of the Sunnah wal-Jama'ah believe, majority of them. There are some from the people of Maghrib, from Morocco, that think that Sahih Muslim is more authentic than Sahih al-Bukhari. But the majority of scholars say no. In terms of authenticity, Sahih al-Bukhari is more authentic, but there is one thing that Sahih Muslim has over Sahih al-Bukhari, and we'll talk about that as we go along. So Imam Muslim, rahimahullah, he was born in the year 204 Hijri, which is approximately 815, and he lived until 875, right? They're a little bit unsure when he was born. Some say 815, some say 819, in the Common Era, and he passed in 875, right? So he was someone that he wasn't well known during his lifetime, right? There are certain people that knew him and understood his virtues, and even some places where he would go, the people, they knew who he was, and then they'd make him the imam and he'd lead the prayer. Even some governors, they knew who he was. But as far as everybody knowing his text and appreciating his Sahih, it wasn't well known during his own lifetime. Later, after he came, there were people who came after him, scholars of Hadith. They said that, the people who are the scholars of Hadith of this world, they mentioned four names, right? One was Imam Muslim, one was Ad-Darimi, from Sunan Ad-Darimi, Imam Ad-Darimi, and Muhammad bin Ismail al-Bukhari, and there was another one, Abu Zur'a, and he was another scholar, right? So people after him, they started to recognize that he was a gem when it came to Hadith. His Sahih is something that Imam Nawawi, rahimahullah, Imam Nawawi came in the Islamic era, right? And he came in 676 Hijri. 676 Hijri, he passed away, Imam Nawawi. So it was close to 400 years after Imam Muslim that Imam Nawawi came. Imam Nawawi, rahimahullah, he's the one who compiled the 40 Nawawi Hadith, Riyadh al-Salihin. And one of his masterpieces is that he wrote the text, or the commentary on the text of Sahih Muslim. And people knew Imam Nawawi, right? Imam Nawawi got famous even during his lifetime. But when he wrote, we have a copy over there, right? You see that green text? See that white translation of the Quran? Right next to that, those 4 volumes. It's Imam Nawawi's text, a commentary on the text of Sahih Muslim. So then, Imam Muslim started to get very popular, very famous. And Imam Nawawi, rahimahullah, he said that anybody who looks at the Sahih, he will know that Imam Muslim was an Imam, لا يلحقه من بعد عصره. He said that no one who has come after him, up until Imam An-Nawawi's time, which is 400 years later, has reached the level of Imam Muslim. وَقَلَّ مَنْ يُسَاوِيهِ. Right? And there was very, very few people, even during his time and before his time, that reached the level of hadith that Imam Muslim had reached. And he said, وَذَلِكَ فَضْلُ اللَّهِ يُؤْتِيهِ مَنْ يَشَاءُ اللَّهُ ذُو الْفَضْلِ الْعَظِيمِ. And this is the fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives His bounty and His virtue to whomever He wills. Okay, so why do some scholars, including Imam Nawawi, in certain aspects, they say that the Sahih of Imam Muslim has more virtue than Sahih of Imam al-Bukhari? Okay, because if you look at Sahih Muslim, even the translation, it's easy to navigate. There's chapter headings, right? And the chapters that deal with the topics are all under one chapter. Imam al-Bukhari, what he did was he divided into different subtopics, right? And he wouldn't put all the hadith under one topic. He'd use the hadith, the book, just to prove his point in terms of fiqh, and then he moved on to the next topic. But Imam Muslim, he said, okay, let's take adhan, and let's talk about all the hadith that I have that are sahih under the chapter of adhan. He'd put them all in one location. And remember, this was before table of contents. This was before index. This was before any of these topical headings. So Imam Muslim, his book was much easier to navigate. And even till today, right? Until today, in some of the schools, the universities, they'll study Bukhari the last year because it's difficult, and they'll study Sahih Muslim third year, second year, something like that.
How many years ago was that? Sahih Muslim?
Sahih Muslim was close to 1,200 years ago, yes. Even more than, yes.
So he was really a contemporary of,
yes, he was a contemporary of Imam al-Bukhari. That's why he wasn't as famous during the time of Imam al-Bukhari. And he actually narrated a hadith from Imam al-Bukhari, but it wasn't vice versa. So they consider Imam Muslim a student of Imam al-Bukhari, but they do not consider Imam al-Bukhari a student of Imam Muslim. Okay? Another aspect of this is that Imam Muslim, even though there were many scholars, he said that he had over 220 mashayikh and ulama that he learned from. And this is important because each person, they may have good qualities, good characteristics, and that will broaden the person's perspective. And this is something Imam al-Bukhari did as well. So another thing that we learned from the life of Imam Muslim is that importance of, we talked about the teachers, but also the geographic locations. He would work hard to go and seek knowledge, right? As he did Imam al-Bukhari. He went to Iraq, he went to Hijaz, he went to Sham, Misr, and all these different places. And he learned, okay, look, the people of Sham, they focus on Syria, Palestine, Levant, these areas. They focus on things a little bit differently. Then he went to Iraq and he found the people of Iraq, they focus on things, different types of hadith. Then he went to Egypt. Then he went to the Hijaz, Mecca, Medina. So he always was learning. And this is something that we always try to inculcate in ourselves. Every Muslim needs to be a lifelong learner. Right? No one should be like, you know what, I've reached this level, I don't need to learn anymore, I don't need to study anymore. You have to continuously learn. Right? Read, understand, implement. And it was something that after he wrote his Sahih, he then wrote a lot of books on history. And this is something also we need to study in details, history. Imam Muslim, he wrote books about Imam Ahmad, right? The stories of the teachers of Imam Malik, the teachers of Thawri, the teachers of Shu'bah, and he wrote al-Intifa' bi Abi Salah, right? He would write about things about importance of following the Sunnah. And if you look at it, where did I say Imam Muslim was? Northern Iran. Today, what do we associate Iran with? Shi'ism, right? By this time, it wasn't Shia though. Right? Shias came later.
Only 200 years ago.
Yes. Right? Only 200 years later they came, but at this time, so there were people of the Sunnah there, but when the people of the Sunnah start to neglect the Sunnah, then what happens? Other people try to come in, right? And they try to, they try to dilute the religious principles. And this is something we see in front of our eyes today. Okay? So it's important for us to learn the Sunnah, to understand the Sunnah, to implement the Sunnah, and it doesn't just mean Sunnah in terms of, supererogatory or optional things. Now when we talk about the Sunnah is the core of our religion. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Man yuti' ar-rasul faqad ata'a Allah." Whoever obeys the messenger has obeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we need to learn about these things and we need to implement them in our daily lives. Imam Muslim passed away in the year 261. And he was someone that didn't have conflict. Remember we talked about Imam Bukhari had conflict with the government and things like that? So he passed away year 261 in terms of the Hijri calendar, approximately 875 of the Common Era. So you see he lived around 55 years. He lived around 55 years, but he wrote something and he did things that made an impact, inshallah, which will remain until the Day of Judgment. So the legacy that he left behind, we still benefit from it today, and inshallah generations will benefit from it, and people will always read the hadith that he collected on behalf of the Prophet ﷺ and preserved. So the question to myself and to all of you, when we leave this world, what are we going to leave behind? Are we going to leave a positive impact? Inshallah ta'ala we are. Right? Not only for ourselves, for our children, but for generations to come. But this is why. Why are we talking about these ai''immah? Because they lived a little bit of time, but they made impact on this world. They left their footprints, they left their thumbprints on this world, so that inshallah they will remain until the Day of Judgment. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to benefit from the scholars that came before us. And we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He grants him Jannat al-Firdaus. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He grants us companionship of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and the companions radiyallahu anhum in Jannat al-Firdaus. Subhanakallah bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Yeah.
Do you know if the two Imams ever met?
Yes, Imam al-Bukhari and Imam Muslim did meet. According to most of the scholars, they did meet, and Imam Muslim narrated on behalf or from Imam al-Bukhari. Yes.
In Bukhari, how old was he when he died?
Imam al-Bukhari, we mentioned that last week, he was
62.
62, yes. 62. 62. This is, subhanAllah, you look at Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they both passed away at the age of 63, 2 years apart. Right? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned this. He mentioned this authentic hadith in Bukhari as well, that the majority of my ummah will live between the ages of 60 and 70. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Alright, Jazakumullah khairan. There's a reminder that inshallah on Wednesday, we'll be having a program here. We have a visiting scholar, a Dari, for Wasim Rizvi, that inshallah will talk to us about how to do da'wah. Right? Because a lot of us, we understand the importance of doing da'wah, but we don't know how to do it. A lot of times we may have good intentions, but good intentions without good knowledge sometimes is counterproductive, right? So inshallah we'll be having a seminar or a program here after Salatul Maghrib, inshallah ta'ala, and there'll be dinner here as well, inshallah ta'ala, so please come. And inshallah we'll be here at and Wednesday night, inshallah. Wednesday night. So inshallah there will be, if whoever attends the dars at Ogden, there'll be no dars this week at Ogden on Wednesday, but inshallah everybody come and bring your families, inshallah. There'll be accommodations here, inshallah ta'ala.